Shalom. First off, I want to start off by saying all praises, glory, and honor be to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Double honors to our elders and apostles, a great millstone, and peace and mercy to the hopeful elect, which are going to come out of the 12 tribes of Israel, which are you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, according to prophecy. I was watching videos, man, and I've been wanting to do this lesson, man, and it didn't get on me too hard, man. And now I had a little time to read up on a little bit of things. The brother from the GMS Dallas camp that does the algorithms, did a beautiful video. It's the second video right here that you can see on the screen. The 3 recent events that could lead to World War III. This is a good video. I suggest brothers go take a look at it, man. He goes into it with far more detail than I'm currently able to, man. That brother's hip on all the geopolitical and economic upheaval and economic wars and moves and check moves, checkmates, and all that's going on economically. But I'm going to touch on part of this, which is the effects of these trade wars, man. And we're going to go into a little bit of history where trade wars actually did impact extremely, man. And they'll say, this stuff didn't get this going. But really, man, these trade wars, and the brother covers it very, very beautifully in his video, man. But these trade wars do lead to real wars, man. Now, what am I talking about when it comes to trade wars? Recently, the U.S. put a bunch of tariffs on China. Recently, the U.S. put a bunch of tariffs on China, and China had retaliatory tariffs. It says Trump hits China with tariffs, heightening concerns of global trade war, man. And that's big, man, because Trump put, forget the exact amount, man, Lord willing, in the articles that I actually have already pulled up, ready to go. It'll tell us the exact number. Trump put all these tariffs on China, and China did retaliatory tariffs. Now, I'm going to get that word tariff so the brothers can get a little more understanding. It says a tax or duty to be paid on a peculiar class of imports or exports. So here it is. The U.S. is the biggest importer of goods in the world. And it's putting tariffs on all goods that come in the U.S. What does that mean? It means that whatever coming in the U.S., those other countries, for them to get their product here, is going to have to pay a certain tax on that. And I believe the tax is something like 25%. That he's going to put, the tariffs that he put is 25% on these things. And that's big, man, because here it is. China is one of the biggest exporters. Everybody outsources labor to China because the labor is cheap. Now, what does that mean for us in the U.S., man? Meaning Israelites and all these other nations, man, because the Lord is only dealing with the Israelites, man. The Lord is only dealing with the elect of the Israelites also, man. Right now, man, all Israel is going to be saved, but through that elect. So what does that mean on a mass scale, man? It means that inflation's going to happen. Now, I'm going to get into some of the articles, man, and read a little bit about this. And Lord willing, this is edifying. Now, here it is. I'm going to get this one. It says China warns trade war will directly hit U.S. consumers and financial markets. Now it says American consumers will be the biggest losers in a full-fledged U.S.-China trade war breaks out. If a full-fledged China-U.S. trade war breaks out, Beijing was warned after President Donald Trump signed a memorandum to impose new tariffs targeting over 50 billion of Chinese imports. The U.S. persistence in invading the sections of advancing the section 301 investigation and publishing the so-called finding to pick a trade war will undoubtedly undermine the interests of Americans, consumers, enterprise, and financial markets directly. And what it's saying, man, is this move is actually going to sit here and hinder a lot of people that live here in the U.S. because this is a consumer nation, man. So now you're putting massive taxes on goods that are meant to be for consumers. Now the scriptures tell you when I'm gonna just read it real quick, and through the Spirit, man, I believe we're already in this time, man. This is 2 Ezra 16 and 21. It says, "Behold, victuals shall be sold good cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case," man. And that's really the time we're in right now, because here it is, gas is at the lowest it's been in what, 6 or 7 years. What else is there? There's massive amounts of ways to get cheaper things, cheaper clothing, all that, all those things, man. All those consumer goods, man, are there's ways to get it cheaper, man. There's Ross, there's all these apps on the phone that you can get. There's all these join the club apps where you can sit here and pay, I think it's like $60 a month, and there's like Thread is one of them. You pay like $60 a month and you can get a full outfit for $60 a month, man. Goods are being sold good cheap. There's this website called Steep and Cheap where you can get all these brand name clothes, man, for cheap as hell, man. Things that are $200 marked down to 50 some odd bucks, man. But you know, the scripture said, man, when goods should be sold, it says, "But behold, victuals shall be good, so victuals shall be sold good cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion," man. So sword, famine, and great confusion. And right now, that's the time that we're in. The amount of wars that are going on right now, the great confusion, famines are going on right now. This is the time that we're in, man. So this is going to be the escalation of what's going to happen next, man. It says, Beijing slams Trump's accusation as unacceptable and brushes aside all allegations of intellectual property theft. It says China's innovation achievements are, I'm going to jump down some. Look at that. Look at that. It says the foreign minister explained that low cost and labor intensive products from China have considerably lowered the consumption costs for the American consumers, all while helping the U.S. deal with inflation. The American consumer and enterprise will bear the brunt of a trade war with China. Ho noted, man. So they're already sitting here lowering the amount of goods they make, but they're keeping the prices low. These labor intensive products that should be getting having a greater toll on how much these products cost. The price should be higher, man, because they're labor intensive, but they're not, man. It's actually helping lower the inflation because it's still having money pumped through the system because people can still afford these things because inflation hasn't hit. It says, you know, I'm going to go to the next article, man. Now it says, China hits back at Trump, announces retaliatory tariffs on $3 billion of U.S. goods. Now I'm going to play a little bit of this video.
The new tariffs in the White House. Now, the White House said that the actions were necessary to counter unfair competition from China. Beijing has said it is ready to retaliate. The tariffs target more than 100 types of Chinese goods, ranging from clothing to electronics. They are estimated to be worth up to $60 billion. The $100 billion trade deficit with China is more than double the U.S. deficit with the rest of the world, and is the main reason Trump cited for his new tariffs. The other being the problem of intellectual property and technology thefts. Over the past year, Trump's unpredictable approach to China has left many scratching their heads.
Take our money, they take our jobs, they take our base.
We can't continue to allow China to rape our country.
We are developing and have developed a wonderful relationship.
Now you can see what Trump's saying. Now this is big because this goes back into history. I'm gonna read a little bit of this article, and then I'm gonna go to another article that explains this a little further. It says Beijing has announced a series of measures that it plans to implement as a response to President Trump's new import tariffs in an escalating trade war between U.S. and China. Despite repeated warnings from Beijing on Thursday, Donald Trump instructed U.S. Trade Representative USTR Robert Lighthizer to levy tariffs on at least $50 billion of Chinese imports, accusing it of stealing American technology. Now that's bullshit, man, because nothing's made here, man. Not verse, but I'm going to roll down. It says, we intend to impose tariffs on certain U.S. imports to balance out the loss caused by Chinese interests by the U.S. tariffs on imported steel and aluminum, the ministry said, according to Reuters. So now they're trying to sit here and catch up so they can cover their losses. And that's why China's sitting here blowing back tariffs at the U.S. China hopes the U.S. and the United States will pull back from the brink in prudent decision and avoid dragging bilateral trade relations to the dangerous place, the minister added. If a trade war were initiated by the U.S., China would fight to the end to defend its own legitimate interests with all necessary measures, China's U.S. embassy said in a separate statement. So this is what it's coming to, man. This is what it's coming to, man, and this is big, man, because now Trump's saying he's trying to sit here and save American jobs by putting tariffs on China, which China brings all the goods to the U.S. Now, I looked this up, man. You know what? Let me play a little bit of this real quick.
U.S. President Donald Trump's plan to impose tariffs on up to $60 billion of Chinese goods have broken the rules of the World Trade Organization. China's envoy to the WTO said Washington's unilateralism is wrecking the Geneva-based trade body. The official demanded that the WTO members unite to defend the Intergovernmental Trade Organization against such a move. China and the U.S. have been engaged in a war of words and tit-for-tat measures over Washington's new tariffs on Chinese imports. This has also pushed Beijing to unveil plans to impose tariffs on U.S. imports.
See, that's how China's sitting there trying to cover for its losses with all the tariffs that the U.S. put on China now. I'm going to jump forward a little bit.
Well, Donald Trump's way of handling foreign policy is to take out a sledgehammer and hammer the nearest thing that he doesn't like. So what he's doing is an old-fashioned trade war. The United States has not engaged in this sort of activity since going back to the Great Depression in the 1930s. And the trade wars that we were engaged in then helped create the Depression and extend it. So trade wars like this, slapping huge tariffs on countries, attempting to get them to do what we want them to do, are backwards and primitive. There are lots of other ways in which the United States could make known its displeasure with China in terms of China's theft of our intellectual property. And the last resort should be a trade war. In fact, it shouldn't be a resort at all. But Trump disobeys all the conventions of diplomacy and of economics, and he's thrown everything out the window, which is one of the many reasons why he's a disaster as a president.
Now, you peep that, man? You peep what he said? That a trade war was the cause of the Great Depression. Now, I got this article on the Great Depression. The Great Depression, this is by history.com. It says the Great Depression, lessons about trade wars. This article is put on March 5th, 2018. It says, on March 1st, On March 1st, President Donald Trump unexpectedly announced that he would dramatically increase tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. The next day, he defended his controversial decision to tax steel imports at 25% and aluminum at 10%, tweeting that trade wars are good and easy to win. Now, Trump is a damn fool, man, because this is not going to work out well. And I got a scripture to back that up, man. This is Isaiah. I'm going to put it up on the laptop, make this a little more smooth. It's Isaiah 19 and 14. It says, Yahweh have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof. They cause Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunkard man staggered in his own vomit. Now, all these people that study these trends know that trade wars worsen depressions, which people neglect to remember that America is still in a depression, man. Our currency, the American currency is at the lowest it's been in a very long time, man. It's trade power. Its current currency trade power is weak. Now, this is that word for It says ta'ah. It says to wonder, go astray, stagger, to wander about, physically, of intoxication, sin, ethically, wandering of the mind, to be made a wanderer, about, be made a stagger, drunkard. Now it says primitive, to vacillate, that is rail or stray. So now this is happening in America, straying and failing in every work, like a drunken man staggering his own vomit, and that vomit is spiritual, man, because that vomit it's witchcraft, it's wickedness, it's committing the same stuff over again, and it's gonna make the same mistakes. So go back to that article. Now, let's get into some of the little more of the history, man. It says, since then, many economists have publicly disgraced. Since then, many economists have publicly disagreed that rising tariffs so sharply will improve the economy, and that's what Trump's idea is, and that's what the same idea it was of the smoot. They call it the smoot, and let me pull it up. You know what? See it on Wiki. They call it Smoot-Hawley tariff. And that was the same idea. Now, let me see. It says the tariff this does not include duties, imports, and tariff under the All Act. Sees a small margin. The act of retaliatory tariffs and trading partners or major reactions and reduction in imports. Because they thought that raising the tariffs in this time would sit there and protect American jobs. It says, Smoot-Hawley tariff exacerbated the Great Depression, although there is a disagreement as to how much. In the popular view, Smoot-Hawley tariff was leading cause of the Depression. However, many economists hold the opinion that the tariff did not greatly worsen the Great Depression, which is bullshit because it really did. All things coming into the U.S. stopped because the cost of it was too high. people couldn't afford the food because things were being imported into the U.S. and money was being made by the U.S. pushing shit out. This was in the time that the U.S. actually did push out goods. Now it says, where protectionism really mattered was in preventing and recovery in trade when production recovered. It says Milton Friedman also held the opinion that Smoot-Hawley tariff in 1930 did not cause the Great Depression. Instead, he blamed the lack of sufficient action on the part of the Federal Reserve. Douglas A. Irwin, most economists, both liberal and conservative, doubt that Smoot-Hawley played much of a role in the subsequent transaction, which is bullshit, man, because they put, it was something like a 1,000% interest, basically, on all goods. They basically inflated the worth of the American goods to try to keep jobs in the U.S. and that shit backfired, man. Now, back on this article. It says, although this came several months after the stock market crash in 1929, the U.S. had yet entered the full onset of the Great Depression, says Claude Bradfield, a resident scholar at the American Enterprise Institute. The thinking among Congress and President Herbert Hoover was that raising taxes on thousands of imports on no matter what country they came from, the act would protect American farmers and secure the nation's economy, but experts disagreed. And that's what Trump's idea is as well, man. So they're erring in every act because they're committing these same foolish things, man. And that's what it says in Ecclesiastes. This is Ecclesiastes 1:9. It says, the thing that had been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. There is no new thing under the sun. So that's what Trump's whole idea of putting these tariffs is to protect American jobs and for the U.S. economy to boom back. But this measure is something that's happened before, and it's backfired then, man. So the Lord's mingled a perverse spirit and causing this place to err in every work, man. It's not succeeding in anything, man. This is Genesis, because all this is going to lead to is a severe economic collapse. Genesis 47. And 15. Genesis 47 and 15, it says, when the money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, give us bread. Why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth, man. And that's what's going to happen, man. The money's going to fail here, and then great famine's going to come. It's just like in Venezuela. The money failed there first. Great hyperinflation came, and then people started starving on the streets, man. These things are going to happen here in the U.S., man. And the only way that the Great Depression ended is war, man. Because then they have to start pumping in money into infrastructure and into military, man. You know, I'm not going to pull this up on the screen. I'm reading an article. It's by thebalance.com. It says the Great Depression, what happened what caused it and how did it end. It says unemployment reached 25% in the Great Depression. Now, what scripture's coming to mind right now is Ecclesiastes. The 12th chapter, man. It says, in the day that when the keepers of the house, man, when the keepers of the house, the government, shall tremble, and strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. So all these jobs are going to be taken away, and those that look out of the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Also when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fear shall be in every way, and an almond tree shall flourish, and a grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because men go to his long home, and the mourners go to the streets, man. So it's about to be straight unemployment out here. It says a contributing factor to the Great Depression is unemployment reached 25%. The Great Depression afflicted all aspects of society. In 1933, unemployment had risen from 3% to 25% of the nation's workforce. Now it says, oh man, this is a good article, man. It says, life during the Great Depression. The Depression caused many farmers to lose their farms. At the same time, years of overcultivation and drought created the Dust Bowl in the Midwest, and it ended agricultural. It ended agricultural in a perversely fertile region, man. So after that, the grinder ceased, man, and the land was so overworked, man, and that's just like the U.S. now, man. Now it says, caused it. I'm not going to go to the cause. What ended the Great Depression? And it says in 1932, the country elected Franklin D. Roosevelt as president. He promised to create federal government programs to end the Great Depression. Within 100 days, he signed a New Deal in the law for change. Many argue that the New Deal. Many argue that World War II, not the New Deal, ended the Great Depression. But if FDR had spent as much as the New Deal as he had during the war, it would have ended the Depression. So a war was the only way to come out of that Great Depression for stuff to bounce back, man. And so that's how the U.S. is going to try to bounce back. But that's not going to be happening, man, because the scriptures tell you, take balm for her, that it might be that she may be healed, man. But she is not healed. This place is going down, and it's going down, man. It's going down in a horrible way. You know, Lord willing, brothers got what they needed out of this. Lord willing is edifying, man. Brothers, look into these things, man. Keep pushing this word, man. We're at the door of this place being destroyed and collapsing, man. Keep pushing. Store up your riches so that the Lord will feed you in that day, man. With that being said, I want to give double honors to elders and apostles, great millstone, and peace and mercy to the hopeful elect. And call halal Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. Shalom.